Hello everybody, Morkenheim here. How's it going? Today we are looking at Monika from Doki Doki Literature Club. And I suppose we can start with a question. Why did I make Monika? Is it because she's the best Doki? And as it turns out, it is because she's the best Doki. And that's what puts Monika into the S tier of the Dokis. She's self-reliant. When she sets her mind to do something, she goes ahead and she does it. And she's independent. I really enjoy that about her. Then in the A tier, we have Natsuki. And Natsuki is in the A tier because she has great opinions about literature, and just because your literature is easy to comprehend and understand from the point of view of like the vocabulary and stuff, it doesn't mean that it's not deep, and that's why she is in the A tier. I very much agree with her like writing philosophy. Then in the B tier we have the purple-haired girl, and Yuri is in the B tier because she is against Natsuki, and that's not good. That's not very good. And also I feel like she's like the basic bitch Doki choice. I'm sorry if I insulted anybody. And that leaves us with Sayori, and unfortunately Sayori is going to the depths of this tier list. She's going to the C because unfortunately I'm afraid I wouldn't have the strength to support her. So yeah, now that we got this out of the way, let's continue with the Monika. If my memory serves well, it was relatively difficult to do Monika. Let's try to find one of the first models that I made for Monika and how it kind of all started. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's say this is the start of Monika. I was just essentially in this very first model just checking if we have the shoes that Monika is wearing, if we have the skirt that Monika is wearing, if we have the jacket that Monika is wearing, and if we have the shirt that Monika is wearing. Of course the jacket is not like 100% accurate, it doesn't quite match because like we're using HeroForge here, and that's fine. I was also checking for the hairstyle here. I just kind of imagined that maybe I could use this as my sort of a base for hair and then just add additional hair on top of it. This is just the start of John HeroForge trying to cosplay as Monika. Oh my god. Jesus. No. Look, I was trying. But like during my first attempt, no matter what kind of edits I did to the face, I just couldn't get it right. I think we're gonna see that also in the next model. When you make a character that has like a direct reference that the character should be based on, if you struggle to get that sort of a feel when you like look at somebody and you don't recognize it as a Monika, because I couldn't get it right, I couldn't get like the feel of Monika. I thought the better approach was instead to add the most iconic parts of Monika first and then work on the face, you know, so that like it's a little bit easier for my head to recognize her. So this is where I kind of started applying that logic. This is essentially another haircut which is just like put in and slightly downsized. Then I also added the bow, but I didn't really like the bow. It was just too big, you know. We'll get back to that later. Here I was just kind of like looking, because Monika has got like this really long hair, you know. So I was just kind of looking through the options. But yeah, sometimes like before you do something, it's a good idea to just kind of lay it out before you and just figure out what the options are for the hair and stuff. Here I added the tail in the back, and also there's the tails on the sides. And as I was saying, like after I added like the sort of like basic parts, I started working on the face. And sometimes when you don't know where to start with a character, it's a good idea to... Okay, I didn't start with this character yet, sorry. No, this is John! Oh my god, this is John HeroForge. Sorry. Look, this is John HeroForge cosplaying as Monika. I shouldn't be shouting, it's 23. Yeah. Oh my god. Look, this video is just gonna be me laughing at the previous models. This is so... Oh my god. One of the ideas I had with the skirt was to use like a slightly larger skirt and just like put most of it inside the model here so that I have like more stuff to work with, I guess. Like a little bit more versatility in like how I want the skirt to look, I guess. I don't know if it makes sense. Of course, I was trying to do the iconic Monika pose, you know, so... Monika! I was thinking like what sort of a pose I should do for Monika, because, you know, Monika has the iconic... and also she has that pen, you know, so I just wanted to do both because they're like just very iconic parts of the character. As I was saying, like when I managed to do the hair a little bit better and just get some sort of a basic idea, it was much easier for me to make the face, because I kind of like saw like whoosh, whoosh, like what is supposed to be around the face to make it like look more proper. So sometimes if you're struggling to make a specific face, it might be a good idea for you to do all the other stuff before you do the face, you know. That could be like a little bit helpful for you. Oh my god. Yeah, I think I increased her head, but I added a decal. This is actually a decal, you know, these are not socks. When I was making this model, we didn't have like socks yet. I think in this case I just made the head bigger so that like I have an easier time seeing what I have in front of me. Oh my god. Yeah, this is 100% Monika. Like, I managed to match the eyebrows, I managed to do everything, I think, right? This is just the part where I only did the big edits for everything. I didn't do the small edits yet. I guess you should be able to see it better. Yeah, it's just important that you don't ignore like the big edits and the small edits. If you don't know how to make like a character's face, it's a good idea to focus on the most prevalent feature of their face. So in this case, for me, it was Monika's eyes. Like, it was very important for me to recognize, like when I look into her eyes, but I see Monika, you know? So sometimes it's a good idea to start with the editing of those parts before you move onto the other parts. Here I increased Monika's head because I was actually working on the hair. When you apply any sort of a piece, like when you kit bash anything to a head, so for example, let's say if I grab this one and then I have to like attach it with this sort of a thing. So if I like attach it here, it becomes part of the hair. And because hair is part of the head, when you change the size of the head, it also changes everything that is attached to the head. Here is also where I cleaned up the ribbon. I believe I used a different ribbon that I liked more than the other one because the other one was like way too bulky. Yeah, you can see that this one attaches a little bit differently, and I simply just had to hide it within the hair so that it looks a little bit more natural. You know, it doesn't really matter that it doesn't attach here. It's more about the just creating the illusion that everything is correct and as it should be, so yeah. And these are also like two separate pieces for the ribbons, so yeah. And this is also where I started the struggle with the skirt, because like Monika has got like in her art in the main menu you can see that the skirt kind of like goes whoosh. You know, it's not just her hair that goes like windy and stuff, it's also her skirt, you know, so I also wanted to create that sort of an effect, but I was failing. This was a struggle with the skirt here. Oh, damn. Now I need to check something here because I'm curious if this is the part where... No, wow. So I did play a little bit more with the skirt to make it like a little bit more flowy. Oh, don't look there. It looks pretty good, right? I think it looks like relatively good. There's also like the thingy that she has around her neck. Very iconic. And this thing is just like a chest piece. Yeah. Like a shirt like this. But I just downsized it and then I like put it inside and it looks like quite convincing, pretty good stuff. And this thing is just like a decal, it's just a regular decal that you add to the shirt, you know, and it looks pretty good. So yeah, that was that. And I did manage to make the skirt, but there was something about the skirt that was unsatisfying. Another thing I also edited in the models are the shoes. This right here is a decal that you can like easily add. I added it with, let me see, with this decal option right here, which you get with like the Pro. You know, if I remove it, it's gone. Boom. And if I remove this one, it's gone. But it looks pretty damn good, you know, for what I was trying to achieve. And my friend's favorite part that I'm gonna show. This is a tongue, and this is also a tongue, so there you go. The face looks pretty fucking amazing at this point. Yeah, it's a good model. I don't know what my issue with the skirt was, but there was something about the skirt and I was like, I hate this so much. And I don't remember what it was. I guess I was just trying to like create the whoosh effect to the one side and like I didn't manage to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I was just messing around with the skirt and I was messing around with the jacket and I kind of messed it up all. Okay, I think I remember what the issue was with the skirt. The issue with the skirt was that it was too revealing for this sort of a character, so I wanted to tone it down a little bit, and here is also where I got the idea that I could like add that sort of a iconic pen. Alternatively, I was thinking about doing the fist pose, but I don't know. I added the pen, of course. This is just the downsized heart, essentially, and this pen is also downsized because when you add a pen in HeroForge, it is like ludicrously big and it looks ridiculous, so... I still hated the skirt because it started to look like a complete abomination wherever you looked. And whenever I have like this sort of an issue where I'm just kind of like split on if I want to use the skirt or if I don't want to use the skirt, I just start like a new save file. I mean, that's kind of like normal, you know? So this is where I just like kit bash in a different skirt altogether. You can see here, boom, boom. And yeah, I was just kind of like working on this a little bit more. And this is the part of the skirt where I was like much more satisfied with how it looked. It didn't kind of it stopped looking like it was going in all of the directions all at once. I just kind of wanted it to like whoosh, swoosh to one side, you know? So I'm really happy how that turned out. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing here. I think I just gave up on this. I think it turned out really good. For the portrait, I just had to use the iconic colors of the space orange and blue, dark blue and purple mingling together. Yeah, just have to do that. So when you make Monika, it's very pretty to look at. Take care. Bye bye. And I figured since this content is DDLC themed, I thought it would be appropriate to end this video with a poem. I don't get to write a lot of poems, so, you know, this feels like a very good excuse. This poem is called Waiting for a Sign. I'm feeling phasmophobic, waiting for the ghost to show a sign. I wait and wait and wait, and try and try and try, running out of sanity, yet its ghostly cries don't come. I make my trap elaborate, I set a journal down, yet the ghost still doesn't come. I'm waiting for a sign. All out of sanity, and not even hunted. I think it's my mind that's being haunted, but reflecting upon the thought, why and what? Do I care for the ghost? Or the sign? I make my trap elaborate, and now I'm feeling fine. Thank you for watching.